Did you hear that Super Troopers 2 got funded?
Just start every podcast with that.
No, but what's funny though?
I know, right? Until
Actually-
it comes out.
Well, see, me and Channing were talking about we should start out with something just random, off topic completely, and just kind of talk about it for a minute or two. That way to loosen us up and kind of get us ready for it, rather than just going straight into the topic.
Okay, here's a topic. SpaceX successfully landed their rocket.
I saw that today. They landed a robot landed on another robot.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So wait, what you're saying is they landed a robot on a robot. Was the robot also on a robot?
Possibly.
Did Exhibit, was he there? Because he had to be there to commentate.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yo, dog, heard you like robots on your robot, so I put a robot on your robot.
That's funny.
Anyway, so now we're done with all the April update announcements and stuff. Last week we had the cosmetic and armor announcement.
Well, that was technically. Well, yeah, I guess that was. Yeah, you're
That
right.
was last week.
Wednesday.
Yeah, last Wednesday, and then this week we just had the sandbox and PvP Crucible gun balancing stuff. So a lot of information that we got to cover. So Channing, where do you want to start?
Well, I guess since we missed last week's podcast, or actually it's pushed back till today, so we're going to cover those two topics right now. Let's just go ahead and start with maybe the Chroma. What did you guys think of the Chroma or the new gear? Let's just kind of lump all that together. So what is your opinion on the new gear and the Chroma? Because that kind of goes hand in hand.
Go ahead, Keith.
I actually missed that part of the live stream, so I haven't seen much on it. I saw some people wearing it, and like the Taken shader, it looked like the dude's helmet wasn't completely like shaded, so it looked a little awkward. I don't know if all the armor is going to look good.
Well, it seems the way it's going to work is there's specific armor that's made for the Chroma. Like they've got a whole set devoted strictly for the Chroma, and you have
No, you're thinking of Spectar. So the Chroma can be used on any armor, but any armor that falls that allows you to do it, you can put the Chroma on. But there's a specific set that like the Chroma looks best on, which is called the Spectar. And that is the specific set that you're talking about, Eric, that only drops from the
packages.
Right. The Sterling Treasure.
Yeah, the treasure boxes that you can only get, 3 a week, one you're given, and then one's from PvP weekly or whatever, and then you get one from
doing PoE 41. But the thing is that you can go and buy it from Tess Everest, so you could theoretically spend $100 on that day and have every piece of armor that you ever wanted.
I mean, it is all random, so that does kind of add even the people who do buy are not going to necessarily get the perfect drop every time, but that randomness will screw over people who are trying weekly to get the 3 packages, and if you get 3 shit rolls, you're pretty much screwed for the next week. But it's 200 silver per drop if you do buy it, so what's that equal out to? What, $5? Or no,
$2.
$2, yeah, because it's
I'm personally, I don't have any plans to go and buy it. I'm just going to play the game. We play the game enough anyways that we're going to eventually get, like, this gear doesn't make a huge difference on, like, it's not going to be game breaking. It's just all cosmetic.
It all drops at 3 defense anyway, so it's not like it's going to be something that you're getting a 320 as soon as you pop it out. So, I mean, you still have to infuse it. It's mostly just the cosmetic, and if you look at the stats that they were kind of showing in the live stream, none of them were groundbreaking. So it's pretty much cosmetic, and it's just Chroma. Most of it's just cosmetic. I mean, there's not a lot of actual stuff that you have to worry about. Most of the drops and stuff are going to come from the Prison of Elders or the raid whenever they upgrade the raid, and then obviously Crucible, Iron Banner, and Trials.
Right, so the raid won't drop 335 light gear right off the bat. That's not a huge thing, but it won't.
It'll be 330 at first, the hard
right,
mode.
And then they're going to do a hot fix to make it 335.
Right.
The only other really big thing was that they announced the Year 1 weapons coming back and the new exotics. Well, not the new exotics, let me take that back. The exotics that are getting refurbished to Year 2.
Well, there are some new ones, because I saw a new one for each. It was at least one new for each class.
I haven't seen any new exotics. The only exotic I saw that was new was Zen Moment.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just
Zen
ones I had
Meteor,
never
sorry,
seen in the game. I mean, it could be because I did skip. I mean, I skipped to pretty much one full expansion, I guess, in the time that I didn't play. So it could have just been from that. Just
Right.
ones I didn't recognize. Because I know they got like the spider Iraq helmet or whatever for the hunter, and they've also got like a chest.
Garbage.
Yeah, they got the helmet and then like a chest piece to match or something like that. I think of what it was, and it didn't seem like honestly any of the armor they were bringing back was anything spectacular. The guns were more, uh, something to really care about than the actual armor.
Right. So there's not a huge amount coming to the armor. You just have the chroma and you have the desolate, and the Spectar line. Otherwise, you don't have much coming. The other big thing, like I said, was we can just progress into the weapons. So the year ones are coming back, and they originally stated that the way you would get those was legendary engrams, but then they came back and said that's wrong. It's only in Vanguard packages or faction packages, which I don't know how I feel about, because currently as it stands, you get a package not all that often. I know they're increasing the amount of the rep that you get, so maybe that will help. But the thing is that if you get a package and you have a gun, but it has a complete shit roll on it, I mean, it's just going to turn into marks, and then you're going to struggle, and it may be 5, 10, 20 packages later that you actually get the same gun again, and it may be shit again. So
It's going to be a slower process of trying to get that 1,000 yard stare from the Cryptarch, basically.
basically, yeah.
That I don't
But
think
you're
any
not
of
gonna-
us has gotten yet.
You
you're
got
not gonna-
close.
We got close. I have a good roll, and Keith has a good roll. Not the perfect roll, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, I got a decent one too, but I mean it's nowhere near the perfect one. I mean you're still missing the perfect roll. And see, I think that's one of my gripes about even the new stuff coming out and the older stuff is it's so much RNG that I mean even other MMOs. I mean if you look at Final Fantasy or WoW, the RNG is nowhere near as bad as Destiny, and it forces you to play so much. And with time gated stuff on there, like only being able to do the raid 3 times, 1 on each character, and then Prison of Elders once, and then I mean the only thing you really have a chance of actually getting consecutive drops if you just put an absolute insane amount of time on is doing stuff like Iron Banner or Trials, and you can just keep repeating that. It just kind of screws PvE people over, because if you don't want to do the Crucible and stuff, you're kind of just subjected to, oh, well, I've already done my weekly stuff. What's the point of logging in?
Right, yeah, for PvE players, if they don't want to play the Crucible, you do your activities and then you're done for the week. You're right. There's not much more to do other than that.
And it's like people want to do more. Like, give us something else, another chance of something we can do to possibly drop. I mean, don't make it where we can get easy drops. We don't want easy drops, but we want something more than just let's do our weeklies and there's nothing else we can do. 3 Nightfalls, 3 raid runs, 3 Prison of Elders. What else is there to do? And that, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Prison of Elders will finally add another level of PvE that we've needed, but I think it's still kind of shallow because there's not much to do. I mean, I guess you can run the strike playlist, but what's that going to give you,
Right.
So what you're saying is they need to make a new loot cave, hide it, and then give us the chance to find it
That's right.
before they remove it again.
Oh god, Loot Cave.
Yeah.
That was the funnest thing ever.
I missed that glory day, but I've heard
Ugh.
stories.
We spent, I can't even tell you how many countless hours we spent at that cave, and there would
Standing at the, yeah.
there'd be 6 people out there, and it would just be rockets and snipers and auto rifles galore, and then you'd have everybody take their break, run in, grab all the engrams. And I mean, even as bad as that loot cave really was, it still did not drop what you really wanted. So I'm glad they fixed the drop chances on stuff, but then they added with the Taken King that extra level of RNG to everything, and it just, I don't know.
Well, back even with the loot cave, if you got a legendary engram, it wasn't guaranteed to be a
Right,
legendary.
right, you
It could have been a
a
It could have
blue.
been a blue. Yeah.
Oh, that was the horrible thing. I never got an exotic from a legendary before the switch around because I was getting 95% blues.
Yeah, that's how it was. Yeah. So that was basically all what we just talked about was basically the update from last week. There wasn't much more to that. Any
just
other
cosmetic.
thing that, yeah, you can look at it on Bungie.net. There
Oh,
wasn't much.
I do want to add a correction.
Go ahead.
You guys were right. It was not a shader for the Taken. I am disappointed in that. It is armor.
Yeah, it's Desolate line.
Yeah, that sucks. A shader would have lasted longer because what happens whenever the next update pops a better armor or something, that armor is going to go obsolete, or if some of our stuff does transfer over in Destiny 2, it'll be just like year 1, your stuff won't be able to
Right.
upgrade. So.
I wish it was a shader, but yeah, you're right.
Oh well. Anyway, next
Oh, well.
topic.
Yeah. So to move on, this is more of a Keith and I's area, which is the PvP part of it. So the last week's update basically started. Well, I have my notes, so I'll just go down the notes. So the first thing I talked about was heavy ammo will now only spawn once a match, which is freaking-tastic because you have that one guy, which I did it today playing. You have that one guy who will get a machine gun, get that ammo, and then just rock and roll until the next heavy ammo pops, and then he's just basically unstoppable. So now it'll spawn at the 5-minute mark, and it won't spawn again. That's it. So you have one chance to get it, and then it's gone.
Or in trials, it'll still be the first team to meet the 3 win or 3.
Right, trials
yeah,
isn't changing. It's the trials and elimination will still be the 3, and then it'll.
Oh, and they're also keeping Mayhem unchanged. Like it's they're not touching it at all. Still be the crazy amount of everything. So.
It's
And they're helping the heavy as well with like the machine gun. The raid machine gun just has way too much ammo whenever you pick it up.
It does.
They're lowering the amount of ammo you'll be getting whenever you actually do pop that.
Because with the raid machine gun, because I have machine gun boots, it will give me 157 rounds, and that's just insane. But the only thing that I worry about with the heavy ammo only spawning once is that the heavy ammo is going to spawn, and then what if you're playing a game mode and the enemy team gets both heavies? So then you're just going to be rock and rolled until they run out. But I guess it could be solved by you're getting less ammo.
The less ammo does seem like it. Honestly, to me, I think I'll enjoy that more. That addresses a huge complaint. I mean, they're also addressing the special ammo too, which is a huge problem.
Right, that's where I was going next. Yeah, so the special ammo, everybody will spawn with special ammo now, which is fantastic because it will keep Icebreaker out of trials. And honestly, I was playing, I did it, I'll admit. We did it a few games where I ran the Icebreaker to get my ammo, and if it got to the charge of 6, I would have 18 1,000-yard stare rounds. And honestly, you weren't at a disadvantage. You could still headshot even a 320 player with the Icebreaker, and I was still mowing people down. But now everybody will spawn with special ammo, which is fantastic, but special ammo would take longer to get. It will take 3 minutes for it originally to spawn into the game.
And don't forget their... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And whenever you actually swap your weapons now, your ammo will disappear. So
right, so that's how they're keeping Icebreaker out of the table.
Yep, so that makes Icebreaker and Invective both not as powerful as they used to be.
Right. So talking about trials, revives now take longer. Your revive shield is not as long, and you can no longer sprint past somebody to do a revive, even with the fast revive helmets. And they added 2 seconds to the revive timer. Keith, what is your opinion on that? Since we play trials every weekend, how do you think that's going to affect gameplay?
I don't know. I like it. I wasn't really ever a big fan of being able to just sprint past somebody and have their body pop up. So I think it'll make people play a little bit smarter. It might throw a lot of people off with like the res snipe timers. I hope, because it's just way too easy to do it. I don't know. It could be really awesome or really terrible, because you're going to have somebody standing there for a little bit longer, a little bit closer to that orb. So it might be easier to get headshots whenever they're trying to actually pick the person up. So
right. So basically, you go in with somebody who's not going to die and rock and roll.
Yeah.
So don't take me. I'm banned from trials once this update goes. So no worries, guys.
So with going off of the whole res sniping, so they're trying to balance the classes more, and I'm very confident. I've never been this confident about Bungie's ability to balance the game. I've always said that they've had problems balancing it. You guys know that. I've repeated myself 100 times saying they suck at balancing this game, but I see why. There's a lot of complications with the random perks and everything. But snipers have basically become the meta. There's people using the sniper as their primary weapon, and with the snipers, snapshot time is being decreased. They're adding 2 frames per sniper, so your ADS is going to take longer. They're going to decrease the stability, which will decrease the accuracy across the board. And they're actually taking the 3 short-range scopes and making them zoom in further so that you can't up-close snipe somebody like you used to, which I think is fantastic, because honestly, snipers have become a problem to the point that, like I said, there's people who actually use them as their primary, and you play in trials games where it seems like you never get killed by a primary weapon. All you get killed by is sniper, 1,000-yard stare, 1,000-yard stare, 1,000-yard stare, and it seems like that's all it is.
Yeah, and another thing that, like, kind of the opposite end of it, they're removing the flinch from high caliber rounds, so it might make it a little bit easier whenever you're trying to get that extra zoom in on the new sniper rifles. Like, it's not gonna penalize you as much, I feel like. So I feel like they kind of tried to balance both ends of it at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So another with the Mida, they're taking the high caliber rounds off, so it won't, like you said, it won't make you flinch. But one of the perks of high caliber rounds is that I was watching a YouTube video today, and somebody was talking about it, that high caliber rounds actually decrease the how quickly you can handle a weapon. So because it makes it heavier, so it makes the mass of the weapon heavier. So does that mean that Mida is going to be even faster to handle? It's an interesting. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I feel like even if it is a little bit quicker to handle, getting sniped halfway across the map with a scout rifle is going to be a little less prevalent.
Right.
Because somebody
That's
could be
used to
standing.
Jade Rabbit.
Yeah, somebody could be standing at the other end of the map, and if they hit you once and you don't have a shot on them, they can just unload. There's what, 20 something bullets in that scout rifle.
21, yeah, 21.
And they're not going to stop until you either get behind cover or you make them move behind cover, which
Right.
if you're getting flinched, it's too hard. You just got to basically take a shot and hope you
You
hit
have
him.
you have to hope that you hit him. If not, you just have to back up and try to re-come at it, yeah.
But the revive, back on the revives, we forgot that they're lowering the shield that you're going to get whenever you revive somebody.
Right.
So a lot more snipers, I think, are going to come into play. It's not just going to be your 1,000-yard stare meta anymore. I feel like a lot more are going to be able to res snipe.
Yeah, I wonder if that means that guns like the Glass Promontory or Wayward's March are going to be able to res snipe. I mean, it'll be interesting, but I don't know if they will, or because if they can res snipe, that means that there's going to be, you're not going to see 1,000-yard stare in everybody's hands. Now you're going to see every type of sniper rifle in somebody's hands, because if they can res snipe, then it's going to be a completely different ball game.
So pretty much what we're doing is taking Call of Duty out of Destiny.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But the lower shields does mean a lot more shotguns will be able to pop somebody whenever they're coming up as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's already, you can shotgun melee somebody and they'll die. So if you get
or just hold down the trigger and hope that your invective takes care of it.
Invective kills him, yeah.
No.
I saw Crafty last week, I think, was playing with a fourth horseman. I don't know if it was a bet or not, but that thing, like, even though it only has 4 bullets, it can still kill somebody off of a res. So
yeah, if you just spam the trigger, hold down the trigger, it will.
Oh, what else did they do? Oh, everybody's favorite gun, the Last Word. That is getting a nerf.
It's getting a nerf, and I feel that it needed a nerf. I just felt like it was too strong of a weapon. It was like if you came up against the Last Word using any other weapon, if that person knew what they were doing or got any type of luck, they would outgun you. We were playing Trials the other day, and I got the beat on a guy with a heavy machine gun before he got me, and he ended up 2-shotting me with the Last Word and killing me before I could kill him with a heavy machine gun, and that shouldn't be how it is.
And even if both the people know what they're doing with that gun, it was so inconsistent. Most of the time, you would either 2-tap them or you would fire your whole clip and miss every single shot.
Yeah, and they're making it where you can no longer 2-tap people. It's going to be a guaranteed 3-hit kill or 4-hit, 5-hit with the body. Yeah. But they're bringing back a weapon, or not bringing back, they are increasing the range and the accuracy of Hawkmoon. So one of my favorite Year 1 weapons may be a viable option in the Crucible again. I really hope so. Because
I haven't got much. I haven't got much playtime with it, but after I heard that they were increasing the range on it, I started playing with it, and like the Luck in the Chamber, even though you can't 1-tap somebody anymore, it's still pretty damaging if you have 2 people running it.
Yeah, it's very devastating.
if you have two people running it and they both get a headshot and they both have that triple damage on it, you're dead. So I don't know. With increasing the range, it might be really, really prevalent.
Right. It was prevalent in year 1, before the Thorn, took its mantle and became the king. But they're basically making Thorn where it's going to be less used. So I think Thorn is in that awkward spot because it can still 3-hit somebody to the head, which is how basically every other hand cannon in the game is, except for Hawkmoon if you get the luck in the chamber, and the last word, which will now be a guaranteed 3. But the thing with Thorn is it does that damage over time, but the damage over time is going to be less prevalent. And I think that's where Thorn is the strongest, is that it has that capability of taking somebody out of the game just a little bit longer. So I think what they're doing with Thorn is going to be exactly where Thorn needs to be, because it's just going to do 2 damage instead of 6 ticks. It's going to be 4 ticks.
See, I thought they said that it was going to be 1 damage.
No, it's going to be 2 damage.
It's 2 damage. Well, see, that's what I thought, because in the write up, I could have swore it said like the lowest health that it could take off. But I was watching the video as they were using it, and it was doing 2 damage, so I was kind of confused about that.
They did say the lowest damage they could take off, but yeah, it was 2 damage on stream, so maybe the lowest they can go is just 2.
Yeah, because it says right here, reduced damage over time, the reduced damage over time tick damage to the absolute minimum in PvP, 1 HP base damage. So I wonder if it's something that he had to increase the damage or something.
Should be, yeah.
Oh. But still, I mean, it's the Thorn itself, the poison's still viable in general just for the fact that it keeps your shields from regenerating. So, I mean, the poison itself was never really a killer. I mean, it did sometimes, but I'm glad that they're dropping it down.
Now it's not. It was in year 1 when it was doing 7 damage of 6. It would do 42 damage by itself, but no, now it's definitely not. I played with it the other day for a little bit, and today, actually, and I only ever killed 1 person with the damage over time.
What's it ticking at right now?
3. So it ticks 3 6 times.
All right, so so that's going to be a huge nerf.
So it's going to go 2. So basically, they're making it where the damage over time isn't going to be what really damages somebody. It's just going to be what takes them out of the game, which can be
right.
Which is where Thorn is good at. It takes somebody. So you hit somebody, and it's going to take them out of the game where their shields can't recharge, where yours can if they're not using Thorn, and then you can go at them.
Right.
I would like to see it come back to year 2.
Yeah, we talked about another gun. Like, we saw that they were bringing back up a gun you had told me used to be pretty king of the hilly, the Suros auto rifle.
Yeah, the Suros ruled back at the beginning of year 1. It was the Suros meta. Yeah.
Like, I didn't see everything that they were raising up on it. I think they said that they were increasing the range.
So the range is going to be increased with the focused fire, and I think they said they were increasing the stability a little bit. But yeah, they're basically making it where you can hit people further out with the Suros, because they're going to really bring up the range on it.
So I know a lot of people are going to be mad about the last word or the Thorn nerfs, but I feel like it's really good that they're trying to balance out a lot of the weapons so people can use multiple guns. Like, if you have that guy who wants to be a Hawkmoon, like, main, I guess is how you would say it. They just want to only use Hawkmoon. Like, bring everything down a little bit and bring Hawkmoon back up to where you can actually be competitive with it is actually really good.
Yeah, it seems like now with this update, they're trying to level the board out more so that you see more variants of weapons in the Crucible. Because right now you see scout rifles or you see the last word, and that's what pretty much dominates the meta currently. But I think it'll be good. They're raising the base damage of the low rate of fire, like spare change pulse rifles, and I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, obviously you're going to have to tweak. Somebody will find something to abuse or become a monster with, but I think that this will be a really, really balanced meta. But we'll just have to wait and see.
I guess one of the last things that we have to cover that they were revealing on the stream was Warlock nerfs.
Yes. Oh, yes. So the Stormcaller is getting a pretty sizable nerf. They're basically reducing how long it takes for you to get Storm Trance. They're reducing the length that you can have Storm Trance, and some of the perks on there, like Transcendence and stuff like that, are not going to be as effective as they were. It's basically going to be, like they said, you're going to have to make a conscious decision about when you want to use your Warlock Super. Whereas now you can like use it 4 or 5 times in a game if you have Transcendence and you're near your. Because there's times where we play together, Keith, and you're running Stormcaller, and I'm like, oh my god, my super's only halfway full. How do you already have yours? And
Yeah,
going to town on people.
That electrostatic mind whenever people take damage near you or you're near your party members, just you see the super like creep up the whole time. Like it was way overpowered. I'm glad they're fixing it.
I am too.
I enjoyed playing with it, but I'm glad that they are fixing it because it turned mediocre players into great players for that little bit.
Yeah. So Landfall will no longer blind people, which is great, and it can also no longer destroy a Titan bubble, which is good. Because I run Defender sometimes in Crucible, and it's frustrating when you have that one unskilled Warlock just run up and boom, and then there goes your bubble, and everybody inside it's dead. What else? So, Sunsingers are getting a little bit of a nerf in the way of their melee, which, on that topic, I'm surprised that they didn't say anything about the melee of the Stormcaller, because the Warlock melee's always been more than the other characters, everybody knows that, but the Stormcaller melee is insane. Like, there's ranges where you should really never be able to hit people that I've been killed by or I've seen other people killed by, and I'm just like, what? So, I don't know. I was surprised that they didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah, the flame shield, like I know they talked about how it's gonna be like a little less. It's gonna be a proc now. Basically, sometimes you'll get it on a melee, or sometimes you won't. Is I guess the consensus of it.
Yeah.
So that'll make it a little less like guaranteed. Oh, hey, I'm gonna melee this guy and live. I'm surprised that they didn't touch Firebolt just because of how strong of a grenade it is, but I understand a little bit why they didn't, because if they nerf that into the ground, what does the Sunsinger have? Because Radiance, I mean, it's if you play against people who know what they're doing, Radiance is nothing. You're gonna self-res, and they're gonna pop you.
Right. They also said that they're making it where you'll be able to throw more grenades if you're not using Fireborn. So if you're not using the self-res and you're using one of the other two supers, you can actually throw more grenades when you use your super. And they said something about why they didn't nerf Firebolt, because they said that, what did they say? There was really no way to successfully nerf it and make it where it's not, it would basically make it where it's not usable anymore. So. And the last thing that they talked about was the Voidwalkers got a buff, which is nice, but it's just a buff in the way that the grenades and the melee is better. So what they were showing was when he got a grenade kill and you started stacking your kills, he was stacking, when you start stacking your kills and you start getting a kill streak, he used his grenade and then he meleeed somebody, and when he got that melee, the grenade like just shot up in a matter of like 3 seconds, and then his grenade was back. So that's kind of cool.
I guess the last thing that we didn't touch on was it's back on guns, the raid primaries.
They're getting a buff, or I mean, they're getting a reload buff.
So it's not going to be like crazy impactful, I don't think, on anything, but it'll be nice to have that buff on them to see if they're actually viable in anything.
Right, because the way it stands is, I mean, I don't even reload them half the time. I just switch to another weapon and let the cocoon perk do its thing.
Yeah.
All right. Eric, what do you think about the Warlock nerf?
I hate Warlocks, so I'm up for any nerf that Warlocks get. Now, Warlocks have, I mean, if anybody knows me, Warlocks have been my least favorite class until, of course, the Hammer gods were created, but now that they've got their appropriate nerf, Warlocks are back to being my most hated class again. I mean, I enjoy playing them, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I'm a hunter through and through, and anytime I'm in Crucible, the 90% of the time I get killed by any ability, it's from a Warlock. So seeing them nerfed, I'm happy. I think it's fair. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that'll probably be, pissed off about it, especially, just like me, I'm a hunter through and through. I'm sure there's people out there that are Warlock fanboys that are be very upset by this, but I think if it balances it out and makes it more fair, because that's my thing. No class should be better than the other, only an opinion. And Warlocks right now are the number one.
Yeah, currently they're the number one. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's all that we have to cover. That's
Well,
all
no,
that we've
that's
been
it, yeah.
revealed.
Well, there's one more thing that we didn't touch on, and that's for the PlayStation exclusive stuff that's coming out. And I know we're all PlayStation players, so we might as well go ahead and cover it when we've
But-
got the exclusive.
But
Sorry.
we didn't want to make the Xbox fanboys mad.
I don't care about that. They get the better games on subscriptions through their service. We get the stuff through Destiny.
And they
But-
have that
Which is
Xbox
weird.
Elite controller.
Oh man,
Right.
that control looks so nice. Yeah, when I saw that thing released, I just looked at my PS controller and go, "What are you doing with your life?
Exactly.
Be better." And it won't. I mean, honestly, I think all completely off topic. My biggest gripe with the PlayStation controller is the shittiest thumb pads I've ever seen on a control.
They
I-
are. I went to Control Freaks, and I don't think I'll ever go back.
Right. The covers. The little
Did you hear
pad
that,
covers.
Control Freaks? You know,
Did
email
you hear
us.
that, Control Freaks? Sponsorship? No, just kidding. But
Give
no,
me
seriously,
money.
I went to the Control Freaks from the regular pads, and I don't. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I'll ever go back. I used a raised one, or I used the Ultra on my right thumbstick, and I didn't want any height on my left, so I used the Alpha, which makes the thumb pad bigger, and it's made a world of it. When I take it off and use the thumb pad by itself, I'm like, oh my god, I cannot play with this anymore. It's yeah. You should look into it. They're not bad, and they're cheap. I mean, they're not cheaply made. They're very solid products. They're just $15. It's not a bad investment.
Yeah, and see, what I did is I bought $2 thumb pad covers, and they came with like 4, one for each control or 2 for each control. And I mean, honestly, with that, we had them for less than a year, and the thumb pads started wearing out on them. So and I looked at my buddy who has had his Xbox pretty much the same amount of time as I have, and he plays just as much as I do, and his thumb pads are like, they're just wore out just from using them, but they're pristine compared to the PlayStations. But
Yeah.
anyway, back on topic. What I'm really excited about is the Zen Meteor. Been looking a lot into it. The perks seem very fun. I don't know how well it'll do in PvP. So for me, seeing a good PvE sniper rifle, I love the reticle. I think that's probably my favorite thing about it, aside from the fact that the gun is like on fire. I mean, how cool is that to have a gun
That
that's
is
on fire?
cool. Yeah. I think it'll be a PvE weapon. I don't think it'll be one of those strong PvP weapons.
Good. We need some more PvE stuff. I wanna be taking down the Taken, and with a really badass sniper rifle, because I'm so tired of using the Steel Piercer and 1,000-yard stare for everything, and
Yeah.
I think this will be really fun. And I mean, honestly, the explosive rounds for rapid kills is awesome, and the laser beam, that just looks really cool. I'm just really excited about it. That and the exclusive armor actually looks very interesting. The color scheme, I guess, doesn't matter since everybody wears shaders. I don't like the color scheme, but the way the armor looks, I think is probably one of my favorite looking armor in the game so far. It kind of harkens back to, like, at least the Hunters. It looks kind of back to what you used to see in the concept art of how the Hunters looked. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the exclusives, and I hate exclusives. I really do. I'm one of those guys that always tell you don't give into exclusives, but you know what? I'm so jaded on Sony getting really shitty subscription games to everybody and Xbox having the best that right now I'm just like, screw you, Xbox. We get cool Destiny shit.
Yep. So basically, that's the update in a nutshell.
I'm excited about it though. I think it'll
I'm
bring a lot
excited.
of
I think-
content.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think it'll bring a significant amount of content to last for a little while, and I'm really looking forward to PvP being balanced and having more options than Mida, Last Word, 1,000-yard stare combos. So yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
that's Destiny. I mean, is there anything else we want to cover? I mean, we still got some time.
Nope. We're good. What did you want to cover?
Well, I just didn't know if there was anything else. We've talked about other stuff. I mean, I know the Call of Duty ones we need to actually, that'll be a little bit longer than the time we have, but I didn't know, is there any gaming announcements, anything you guys are excited for coming out soon.
Star Wars Rogue One.
Oh, movies! Yes, we don't always
All
have
right,
to talk
we'll end
about
with
gaming.
that. We'll end with Star Wars Rogue One.
The trailer was phenomenal.
Yes, it was phenomenal. Have you seen it, Keith?
I have not. I've seen it.
Oh,
we
shun the
can't talk about
non-believer.
it then.
Shun.
So I guess we better get off here so I can go watch the trailer.
That's right.
And
So yeah, I think it'll be good. Yeah.
And next week, I guess we'll talk about how everything's going after the update drops.
I agree.
Yep, we
No,
definitely.
that'll be 2 weeks
Yeah,
because
Yeah,
we're
it'll
going
be
to
2
try
weeks.
to do it on Mondays.
yeah. Mondays will be our podcast days if everything goes correctly, and so we'll have we should have just an off topic. We don't have to talk about Destiny on next week's, but then the week after we'll have a whole week of playing it to be able to weigh in a lot more than just a couple days. So I think that'll give us a lot more of a preview of what we're going to be playing for the next few months.
Yep, sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right, well, good show,
See you
guys.
gamers next time.